Hello folks, I'm Anticio Duke and I want to thank you for stopping by. A lot of people talk to me about managing things. Some people manage people, some people manage projects, the list goes on. But what I think brings the most impact is managing yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. Stay tuned for more. Hello and welcome. Again, we're talking about managing oneself this week, and actually derives from a book as usual, a book called Managing Oneself. This is written by Peter Drucker, who is a phenomenal person. If you are in business, you will know about him. He's an author, he's a consultant, he's an innovator. They have institutions sort of built and created around his principles. So definitely a person to look up and understand and follow for that matter. But this one is a book that was done for the Harvard Business Review, and it's pretty classic. It's a book about his synopsis on principles of managing yourself, sort of helping you create a career path, learning, discovering, seizing opportunities, and then understanding how and when to change course. And we'll get into that a little bit here shortly. There's a few tips that I gathered from the book, but a lot of it was built on the core of learning your strengths. So that's tip number one. Know your strengths. Throughout the book, that is a catalyst for understanding yourself enough to manage, right? So what strengths are is like knowing where, who you are, what you're into, what drives you, motivates you, and how do you go about doing that. And people get confused not understanding what their strengths are, or they just don't know, they just have no clue. A few ways you can figure that out is one thing I like to call reflection. Peter calls it something different, feedback analysis. It's the same thing. Here's an example, right? So you're about to make a decision or a big action that will change things. Write down your expectations, right? How you actually see what's going to happen. And then afterwards, a couple weeks, maybe a month later, you want to review that and see if what actually happened in reality matches what your expectancy has been or was, for that matter. That's reflection, understanding, and getting a grasp on an intuitive state. So that's huge. You can also ask friends and family. They've seen you over the years sort of blossom and go in certain directions, learning what you really got excited about, what you were passionate about, what took up most of your time. These things give you feedback based on who you are and what you're really into. So take note of that and try to incorporate that if you're still trying to figure out what your strengths are. Okay, so that's one. Number two, it's kind of different for most people, but discover self-ignorance. I say different for most people because a lot of people aren't aware that they're ignorant in certain capacities. Here's a great example. There are people that are brilliant in one area or one industry that think that brilliance may bleed into another industry and make them brilliant in that industry. So if you're great and you're top-notch at managing companies, right, you may not be the best at leading. So those things aren't one-to-one, right? Look at it like intellectual arrogance, right? It causes disabling ignorance. So intellectually, you're arrogant because you're a top performer here and think that will scale in a different area, in a different industry. So you're disabling yourself because of your ignorance trying to translate that somewhere else. That's the best way I can put it. You're top-notch chef, but you can't say that you are a top-notch business owner or franchise owner. You're great in one area, it doesn't translate that you'll be the same top-notch quality in a different area. So just understand that. And lastly, knowledge acquisition. So that's about like gaining skills and acquiring knowledge to help you sort of build on your strengths. You can do that reading books, asking questions, going to seminars, anything that you feel like there's a gap in your understanding within the field you are in. The more you acquire information and knowledge, the better you become. Also, you want to resolve any bad habits that you may have, like, or try to, for that matter, right? No one's perfect, but try your best to do that. And that goes for anything, because the things that you do and don't do inhibit your performance. Like if you fail to plan something, if you fail to communicate, these things inhibit the performance that you ultimately are looking for, which is top performance. So if you start to understand and look at yourself and look at the habits that are causing these things, or that are in place, that prevent you from growing, the better off you will be holistically, not only in your career, but just personally. And here's an extra bonus: manners go a long way. Most people don't think that, but even in business as well as personal life, a please and a thank you can go far. It can work wonders, not only in business, but in life. So, well, I'll leave you with that. Again, managing oneself is probably the best thing you can do, and the biggest contributor that you can be in terms of not only yourself, but the people around you and the organization you're with. So definitely recommend this book. Again, it's a very small book, but definitely recommend that you grab it, read it, digest it, and absorb it and apply it, for that matter. So that's all I have. Again, like this, if it was any value to you, share it with someone if you feel like they need it, and subscribe. I'll continue to do these as usual. And as always, to know more is to grow more, and to learn more is to earn more. So continue, I say all the time, continue learning. That's all I have.